begin by thanking Director of Outreach and Communication, Ms. Jennifer Nazarico, for her introduction today. I would also like to thank Director Kelly McKay, Principal Deputy Director Fern Winbush, and the DPAA team. I cannot express my appreciation for this opportunity to create this year's poster. My name is Jean Jacobs Hoffman, the daughter of Commander Edward James Jacobs, Jr. I attended my first FMU in Greensboro, North Carolina in 2018. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. They wanted me to stand up and talk about my dad, and I just couldn't. And now today I'm standing here in front of the biggest FMU in DPAA history. And I'm very honored. It's very difficult for me. I'm usually behind the scenes creating posters and helping family members. So on August 25th, 1967, my dad and his crew, Lieutenant J.G. Zabaki and ADJ 2 Ronald Boyce Clare, took off from QB Point in an RA-3B Sky Warrior on a night reconnaissance mission over North Vietnam. Their plane was painted flat black so it wouldn't be detected by ground. My dad piloted that aircraft. He was making a left banking turn near the coastline, and it disappeared from radar. I was 5 months old when my mother received the news that my dad was missing in action and his crew. They were missing in the Gulf of Tonkin. So like many of you in this room, you received a telegram that my mom received, or the knock on the door. Our lives changed forever that day. I'm very honored to have my Aunt Jeannie here today. She was the last one to see and talk to my dad in San Francisco before he left for Vietnam. I'm crying in a minute. I always felt a huge void in my life. It's not having my father. And there's little things like not hearing his voice, not giving him a hug, not smelling his aftershave. Simple things to some, very complicated feelings for me. Unanswered questions that followed me my entire life, like so many of you in this room understand. When I met my husband Dave in 2014, he had no idea that my dad was at MIA, and I had no idea that he followed this issue his entire life since he was a teenager. In 1984, he met Martha Consoldo. She was the mother of USMC Captain John W. Consoldo Jr., missing in action in 1972. Martha gave Dave a POW-MIA bracelet, and he's worn it ever since. Dave shared all kinds of information with me about the POW-MIA issue. And he also had a copy of the first National POW-MIA Recognition Day poster. That year he drove me to DC, the first time I've ever been to the wall to see my dad's name. Looking at the names etched in black granite was very overwhelming for me. I'm a very visual person. I'm very creative, so I wanted to see these men and these women's faces. So I began to create my first poster called 1584. This at the time was the number of missing in action from Vietnam. It took me almost a year to complete. It showed all the faces of our U.S. service members and our civilians that are still waiting to come home. From there, I created posters of our missing in action, and I'm honored that the poster depicting the Vietnam MIAs from West Point hangs in the Rocky Versailles Chapel at the United States Military Academy. And I was so proud to work with Special Operations Association 2 years ago, creating a poster of the missing Green Berets from MACV-SOG and their missing aviators who supported them. In the past 2 years, I've created over 100 posters for all classified conflicts, which leads me today to the poster that we're going to unveil. My inspiration came from several factors. Last year, the United States Institute of Peace sponsored an official trip for Mission POW-MIA. We traveled to Vietnam to conduct research on American MIAs and to meet Vietnamese families and veterans. During that trip, we visited numerous provinces which American MIAs were reported. One such province is located across from Ha-Mei. The waters surrounding Ha-Mei are the last location of multiple American aircrafts missing, including my dad and his crew. I was able to get 2 miles from I was 2 miles on a beach standing there, looking out at Ha-Mei and the waters where my dad's plane was. Sitting in about 70 feet of water. That was almost 57 years ago when we left. Shortly after visiting this area, we met with the DPAA team and just returned from conducting a joint field activity in which possible remains were recovered. We were so blessed to be able to interact with these men and women. These are the men and women that bring our loved ones home. We met with the crew of Repat 99, the call sign from the flight from Da Nang to Hawaii. We have since learned that one of the caskets on board the aircraft contained the remains of Lieutenant Colonel Donald Downing, lost in 1967 in September. That was a month after my dad. Standing there in Vietnam on the tarmac was such a special day, but now, knowing who came back and when he was lost continues to give me, and hopefully you in this room and those watching today, online inspiration to continue the mission. Thank you to everyone that has worked so hard to bring Lieutenant Downing home to his family. We appreciate you. One of the most significant parts of this poster you will see is the POW-MIA flag backdrop. This is an actual flag that was raised at the Norfolk International Airport in Norfolk, Virginia. This flag is a symbol that means so much to the POW-MIA families and our armed forces now serving, that they will not be forgotten, they're missing or captured. We have carried one particular POW-MIA flag with us along our journey. We collected more than 600 signatures on it, which includes Vietnam veterans, Korean War, Cold War, World War II veterans, MIA families, former POWs, Medal of Honor recipients, Gold Star families, dignitaries, students, and those working the mission for DPAA. I was the last one to sign in Vietnam. Now it's framed and it hangs in our house as a constant reminder of those helping to not only find my dad, but to find all of your family members. It inspires me every day to work harder at keeping the mission moving forward. It was important to capture all the conflicts of POW-MIAs. And aspects of this poster were drawn from real cases. U.S. Marines missing from the Battle of Terawal, during World War II. Captain Warren Sanderson from the Cold War shot down in his RB-50 along with his crew by Soviet MiGs the day after the Korean War ended. Ensign Jesse Brown from the Korean War shot down in his Corsair. A heroic rescue attempt could not free him from his downed aircraft on a hilltop in North Korea. Sergeant First Class John Adams left behind alive on the ground at Laos after his helicopter went down during a special forces insertion mission in Vietnam. One of his sisters, Lynette, is here with us today. And PFC Jessica Lynch, who represents our POWs. She was rescued by U.S. Special Forces 11 days after being taken a prisoner in the Second Persian Gulf War. Our missing heroes are depicted by 4 ROTC cadets, future leaders in the United States Army, from Old Dominion University's Black and Gold Society, and a U.S. Marine. They are all shown in period uniforms and equipment from the 1940s to the early 2000s, similar to what they would have been wearing when captured and went missing. When you look at each of the service members depicted, you will see that each is holding something different. A field phone, a pair of binoculars, a map, a survival radio, and a compass. I believe that each of our missing is still seeking their way home. And they expect that our nation's promise will be kept, which is to bring them home. So today, on behalf of all of the POW families, not only in this room today, but those throughout this world, waiting for the loved ones to come home, I'm very honored to be able to unveil this poster with Miss Sumter at Wimbush, and I know my dad would be proud. Thank you.
We unveil for you today the 2025 National POW-MIA Recognition Day poster.